What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Dylan, once again, back for another video. Today we're talking about complete NBA playoff predictions for the 2017 NBA playoffs. But before we get into that, I want to address a couple of things that have been on my mind and I've seen around Twitter the last couple of days. So apparently, YouTube has decided that wrestling is not advertiser friendly, and revenue for wrestling videos is almost non-existent at this point, according to multiple sources on Twitter and a bunch of other sites. So we don't exactly know what the future of wrestling is going to be, at least on our channel. I still have my 20x20 series, Why Wrestling Isn't Cool Anymore. That's still coming out. The trailer is coming out next Friday, April 21st, so stay tuned for that one. It's still going to be a banger series. I'm still going to put a lot of effort into that, but I don't exactly know where wrestling goes from here in terms of our channel. We're going to figure that out, but I just wanted to bring that up because it's kind of a big thing. And yeah, Mitch is going to have a NBA playoff predictions right after this, so check out his video. A lot of NHL content's coming from away from the boys. I don't watch NHL. I'm watching a little bit of hockey this playoff time, but I don't watch a lot of it, and I don't know much. So check out those guys for the Puck It Up podcast, the predictions, all that good, the recaps of the games, all that good stuff. And we're going to do some recaps for the NBA playoffs as well. So appreciate you guys. Stay tuned for the predictions coming up right now. So if you guys have ever watched my prediction videos, it goes by pretty simply. I'm going to go from one side of the bracket, fill out who is going to be the champion of that conference, and then go to the other side of the bracket, fill out who is going to be the champion of that conference, and then make my NBA Finals prediction. So I'm going to start off with the Western Conference this time, go all the way to the conference championship and see who's going to win there. Then the Eastern Conference, see who's going to go there. Then my NBA Finals prediction, and always I'm going to be putting how many games this series will take. So let's go ahead and get started with the Western Conference. All right, first matchup here, we have the Golden State Warriors as the #1 seed taking on the Portland Trail Blazers. Portland just got at 500 to end the season, and Golden State coming in here, I believe it's 67-15. So Golden State way more dominant than Portland, of course. You know, they're so loaded, and that's going to help them a lot in this playoffs, as we are going to talk about a lot here. Of course, you got Steph Curry, who's been one of the best players the last couple of years, one of the greatest shooters of all time. Kevin Durant coming in, Klay Thompson's a beast, Draymond Green being a defensive player of the year. It's just going to be way too dominant. And Damian Lillard is absolutely crazy if he thinks that the Portland Trail Blazers are going to beat the freaking Warriors in 6. Absolutely not. I'll say the Warriors in 5. I'll give Portland 1 game because I just feel nice today. But I think Golden State's going to absolutely kill Portland, no question. All right, and then Golden State will face the winner of this matchup between the 4th seed Los Angeles Clippers and the 5 seed Utah Jazz. Utah, for the last 2 or 3 years, has been looked at as a team that could make the playoffs very soon, and they're trying to develop, and they did this year, being the 5th seed in their conference. I think this is actually a really underrated team. You got Gordon Hayward and Rudy Gobert having career years, and have been really good on the floor and making this team a lot better. The Clippers, of course, they've got their standouts. Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan actually had the highest field goal percentage in the league, and Blake Griffin along there. So they got those 3 guys, but it kind of always seems like the Clippers choke, and I think they're going to do it again. I mean, it's just they've got this bad luck in them, and I really like this Jazz team. And I think, you know, a lot of people are saying it could be a close matchup, one of the closer matchups of the first round, and I believe that's the case, but I'm taking the Jazz in 7. I think the Jazz will just pull it out at the end, but I think this is a solid team that could really make a stand, especially in the first round, so I'm going with Utah here. Next up, we have the MVP matchup. The 3 seed Houston Rockets taking on the 6 seed Oklahoma City Thunder. Of course, Brody, a.k.a. Russell Westbrook, has played a phenomenal 42 triple-doubles against the other guy looking to be the MVP this year, James Harden. I think Westbrook, for me, is the MVP of the year, but I think James Harden and the Rockets will win this series. They're just way too powerful. They got a better team overall, and without Russell Westbrook, this team would be nothing. So I'm going to go with the Rockets here. I'm going to get 6 games. I will give it 6 games. But the Rockets overall are just a way better team, and I think James Harden will make this team more complete in the playoffs than Russell Westbrook. Sorry, Russ. And finally, for the first round of the Western Conference side of the playoffs, we have the 2 seed San Antonio Spurs taking on the 7 seed Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis has been kind of like a under the hill team. Like, they haven't really done that much to impress me. While the San Antonio Spurs have been dominant, you got Kawhi Leonard being an absolute beast. I think this is one of the more complete teams in the league, and they always show that every year, that San Antonio is a competent team. They got one of the best coaches of all time, and they're really here to impress. And in the first round, I think the Grizzlies will give them a challenge just because it's the Grizzlies, and they always kind of do that in the playoffs, but I don't see the Spurs losing in this side. I think there's too much talent for the Spurs to go, hey, we're going to drop the ball here. It's just not going to happen first round, at least. So in this situation, I got to go with the Spurs, no question. I'm going to give them 5 games here. I just think it's the better overall choice, and the Spurs are way too dominant for me to go Grizzlies are going to win. So Spurs in 5. Kawhi can really show out here. So here, by determination of the bracket that we have, we'll have the number 1 seed Warriors taking on the 5 seed Utah Jazz in the second round, the Western Conference semifinals here. The Jazz, like I said, have really impressed me. I do like Gordon Hayward. I would say he's one of the most improved players, even though he's been pretty good all of his career here. And Rudy Gobert being a beast. Really shown out this year. I was very impressed by him. But again, the Warriors' dominance is really going to be key in this series. It's really going to be about how... I think this is going to be interesting because it's more of a small man matchup. And I think the Warriors do a really good job at the small man fronts. Of course, that's how they won their first championship, was using small ball instead of big ball. Will they do it? I think if they shoot excellent from the 3 and Kevin Durant can provide, I think the Warriors will definitely win. I'm going with the Warriors in 5 in this series as well. And in the bottom part of my Western Conference bracket for the second round, we have the 3 seed Houston Rockets taking on the 2 seed San Antonio Spurs. Now, in my assumption, the first round, Houston was able to get through Oklahoma City in a 6-game series. It was a lot more contested, had a lot of hard games, some pretty entertaining games. And then you have San Antonio, who I said was going to win a 5-game series with the Memphis Grizzlies, a division matchup that would kind of hurt them. But this time around, I see the Spurs as a way more dominant team. I see the Spurs as a overall complete team. And in my opinion, they're the most fun to watch in basketball. Yes, you have the Golden State, and we'll talk about that very soon. But what I see out of San Antonio is they're very fluid. I think they can work around a lot. They know how to make a lot of key plays. They just play sufficient basketball. And I think James Harden's going to be too much of a ball hog this time to get past San Antonio. I think San Antonio has the more complete pieces, and James Harden is the piece for Houston. So I don't think San Antonio is going to lose the series. I think they're going to win in 6. I will give Houston a couple of games here, but I just don't see James Harden pulling up this miracle. And we've seen it before. If he plays dominant teams in the playoffs, they haven't been able to compete as much as they want to. So you got freaking Kawhi Leonard, you got LaMarcus Aldridge, Pau Gasol is a really good player. You got so many key pieces, and even bench players like Patty Mills are absolutely stunning to watch. So I got to give San Antonio the credit here. I think they will win this series in 6. So yes, that means in the Western Conference Finals, I have the San Antonio Spurs taking on the Golden State Warriors. I really do enjoy these teams quite a bit. I like the San Antonio Spurs flow. I like their chemistry together. I think they can play some really good basketball. But Golden State, of course, likes to shoot the threes. They know they got some of the best shooters in the game. I mean, let's go down the list. You got Kevin Durant, which is a huge addition back to the lineup. I would say they would be a lot more in doubt if he wasn't there, but since he's going to be back, and he is back, I think he's a good shooter, of course, MVP once before he can shoot. Stephen Curry, greatest shooter of all time, in my opinion. He shoots threes out of nowhere. He's so good at shooting threes from any range, it's ridiculous. You got Klay Thompson, who can shoot the 3 a lot. Draymond Green is efficient in the paint. Then you got guys like Andre Iguodala, who could be a big factor, especially on the defensive side. This is going to be a really interesting series, and I'm predicting it goes 7 games because I want entertainment. I'm just saying, I think this could be a really good 7-game series. But at the end of the day, I think Golden State just pulls it out. And as much as everybody wants to say, I don't want Golden State in the playoffs, fam, this is what happens when a good team is a good team. They just continue to be a good team. Yes, did they blow a 3-1 lead in the finals? Of course they did. But they're trying to avenge that. Stephen Curry, you got Klay Thompson, you got Kevin Durant. And even though I like the Spurs, and I think they'll get 3 games on them, I think Golden State is just able to pull it out at the final stretch. So I'm going with Golden State just barely. So let's go over to the Eastern Conference now. Now that we've gotten the western side of the bracket done, let's go to the Eastern Conference. First up, we have 1-seeded Boston Celtics taking on the 8th-seed Chicago Bulls. You really have to give the Boston Celtics a lot of credit for doing something pretty impressive. I mean, they took the first seed away from Cleveland, and I know they kind of collapsed towards the end of the season, but, I mean, Boston has done great. Who am I going to give this credit to? Of course I'm going to give it to Jay Crowder. No, I'm just kidding. Jay's a good guy, but of course Isaiah Thomas, the man who could, the little engine that could, has run this team into the fame again. I mean, this team hasn't been as good as it was since their championship back in 08. I mean, or their last time in the NBA Finals. They've really done something good here. They are a complete team. And Chicago's been very, very bumpy, especially the last couple of years. Derrick Rose is gone. Jimmy Butler's still there, but it seems like he might be gone after the series because I have the Celtics winning in 5. I just, no question to me, they're the better team. They're the more complete team. Isaiah Thomas is going to lead. He's going to give that spark for them. And I think it's going to be a really compelling series, and could it be some fun? But Isaiah Thomas has been the leader. He's going to continue to lead. No question, Celtics in 5. Next up, we have 4-seed Washington Wizards taking on the 5th-seed Atlanta Hawks. Now, one of the most improved teams, I would say, is the Washington Wizards. They weren't really competitive last year, had some key misfires, and we weren't expecting what we were expecting this year. Like, I was surprised to see Bradley Beal and John Wall finally get on the same page. This team has some factors, has some key components that could try to make a run in the playoffs, and I think they will win the series against Atlanta. Yes, Atlanta has a more improved Dwight. This is the best Dwight since we've seen in Orlando, but Atlanta just kind of has a couple of things that really don't stand out. I think this is one of the least impressive teams, along with a team like the Clippers, who are just kind of in the middle in this phase. And I do like a guy like Dennis Schroeder. I mean, he's one of the most improved guys in the league, but I think Washington just has a little bit more of the team flow, the chemistry together. I will say that it will go 6 games, but I think Washington has the advantage. And I just think overall they're a more impressive team that can shoot the 3 ball, get more rebounds, and create more turnovers than, say, an Atlanta team that has been struggled in some of those factors over the course of the season. So I got to go with Washington on this one. So now we have the 3-seed Toronto Raptors taking on the 6-seed Milwaukee Bucks. I think this is going to be a really fun series, actually. Milwaukee was fighting for that last playoff spot till the very end, but they got the 6th seed and not the 8th seed because there were a couple of teams floating around, and we'll talk about one of them here in a second. But Giannis, I mean, let's talk about the Greek Freak for a second. This guy is the only guy in NBA history to lead his team in every category. Every category. Well, actually, no, he was the 5th person to lead in every category on their team in NBA history. But he was the first one to be in the top 20 of every category along with it. That's absolutely crazy. But you know what they don't have, really? The rest of their team. I like Toronto. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to be the best team. But again, Toronto has pieces. They are a good team. Kyle Lowry's coming back for the playoffs, it looks like, and that's a huge addition because DeMar DeRozan has been on fire since Kyle has been out with an injury. It amazes me, and to see this team that's going to be even better come playoff time, I just think they're going to be a little too dominant. I'm saying that they're going to win in 6. I think Milwaukee will give them a run, Chris Middleton, whatnot, in the sorts, but I think Giannis not going to be able to quite get it there. I think Toronto will win here and just make a little bit of a run for itself, trying to get some steam going in the second round. So I'm going with the Raptors in 6. And in the final series of the Eastern Conference for the first round, we have the 2-seed Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the 7-seed Indiana Pacers. And before anybody in the comments says, Dylan, that's a pick from LeBron while he's in the Miami Heat, I absolutely know that, but they're going to play here in the series. I just wanted to make a joke. Just run with it, okay? There has been a lot of things going on for both of these guys since this incident happened. Lance has gone through a bunch of teams, and LeBron, well, he moved back to Cleveland, and he's still as dominant as ever. He's, I would say, one of the most consistent players the league has ever seen. He's still dominant. I would say he's 3rd in the MVP race this year, and his team's been absolutely great. I mean, you got a team with Kyrie Irving who has improved so much, even from last year when he had the game winner. I mean, absolutely crazy season for Kyrie, and his handles are absolutely amazing. Kevin Love, still dominant. J.R. Smith coming back, shooting threes. I mean, they're still a good team. And yeah, people are going to say, well, they're a regular season team. Regular season. At the end of the regular season, they were not that good. I understand that. But LeBron has done some things. Cleveland, to me, is a playoff team. Right? They are a team that's going to focus on the playoffs, and they knew they were still going to be a high seed in the NBA playoffs. So they're playing against the Pacers, who you got Lance Stevenson, and they got Paul George, and I know Paul George so wants to get in the past this first round. I mean, he's gone to the Eastern Conference Finals before, but he wants this hard. But it ain't going to happen. Cleveland will win in 5 games. I'm sorry, Pacers fans, and I'm sorry to the Pacers, but I just think Cleveland's going to be too dominant. I think this time around, they know exactly what they're going to do. And they won the NBA championship last year because they shot a lot of threes. That's their goal. They're going to act like they're going to shoot around. And you got guys like Kyrie, JR, and LeBron just going off. I think they're going to be really shot heavy like they were last season, and they're going to out-rebound this team as well. So I've got Cleveland moving on. So in our Eastern Conference semifinals, our first matchup here, the 1 seed Boston Celtics taking on the 5th seed Washington Wizards. Sorry, they're the 4th seed. In this matchup, I think there's a lot of young talent. That's what's going to be interesting about this series, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. You got a nice team over here in Boston. You got young talent. You got key rebounders. You got key pieces that I think are going to be very interesting down the line. And for Washington, you got one of the best backcourts of the year. Bradley Beal and John Wall have improved so much. And you would say, oh, they were supposed to be like this. Well, they haven't reached their potential until this year. And now they're the 4th seed, and Boston, dominant as ever, making clutch shots, making big plays down the stretch. And I think Isaiah Thomas, once again, is on a quest to do something that a lot of people didn't think he was going to do. I would say he's at least in the top 10 for MVP this year, maybe in the top 5 or 6. Somewhere around there, and I think he's going to be very key to the success of Boston. I have Boston winning here in 6. I think this is going to be a fun matchup, very fast-paced, hard-hitting, but at the end of the day, I think Boston's going to make the key plays just enough to beat the Wizards here. So Boston, you're moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. So here in the other matchup for the Eastern Conference semifinals, I have the 2 seed Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the 3 seed Toronto Raptors. Last year, this playoff series happened in the finals of the Eastern Conference. Here's the thing that happened for Toronto, okay? They got murdered. Like, Cleveland shot the 3-point so well that they broke NBA records. Are they going to do it again this year? I don't know if they're going to break records, but they're going to shoot from the 3 a lot. This team, of course, I mean, you got J.R. Smith who will just shoot from freaking anywhere, and sometimes he makes it and sometimes he doesn't. But you got the strong team. Kyrie, I still think, is one of the best players in the league, and he's shown it that this season, Uncle Drew is here to play and is here to stay at 25 years old, and I just think they're going to be way more dominant. Last year, DeMar and Kyle were not on the same page, and I think that's going to be different this time around. However, Cleveland's just going to be too dominant. They have their number, and they've always had their number. Toronto doesn't stand a chance. I'm saying Cleveland in 5 on this series. So this means in the Eastern Conference Finals, I have the 1 seed Boston Celtics taking on the 2 seed Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I've talked about how Boston overtook Cleveland in the standings in the last couple of weeks of the regular season. Cleveland was falling apart at the seams. But I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, there's no way this team's going to be ignited in the playoffs. Like, they're not going to be killed. And that's just the case. I think Cleveland's got a really strong team. They've got a team against Boston, who I think Boston is a solid team. But Mitch and I were talking about this a couple days ago. He doesn't think Boston's going to get any games on Cleveland. I'm going to say that this is a 6-game series. I have confidence that it's a 6-game series, and I hope actually that the Celtics win. But if I got to go by numbers, if I got to go by stats, if I got to go by how teams play in the playoffs, how one team's going to be better at the 3, how one team's going to be more dominant with the rebounding, how one team's going to be less with the turnovers and be more playoff experience, first off, I think it's got to be Cleveland. No question. I think Cleveland will win the series, and even though I'm rooting for Boston, I've got to be non-biased when I make these decisions. I think Cleveland is the better team. I think they're more impressive. They will shoot more. They will get more wins here. So I'm going with Cleveland in 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So yes, for the third year in a row, and the second year in a row for me predicting, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals. Dylan, we want a new series. God damn it, I know that. But the NBA is rigged and it has storylines, okay? Follow me here. 2 years ago, Cleveland, Golden State. Cleveland, this is LeBron's first season back. He wants to get a championship for his team. We saw it the first time he left his team with the Miami Heat. He lost the first series. You have Golden State, who's an up-and-coming team. However, circumstances were kind of controversial in that series as Kevin Love was hurt earlier on in the playoffs and Kyrie got hurt in Game 1. So LeBron, who was averaging a freaking triple-double in the finals, still didn't win the finals. The very next year, everybody gets healthy for Cleveland. Golden State still dominant as ever, 73-9 for the season. They meet up. They play a series. Golden State leads 3-1. Of course, we know the story afterwards. They blow the 3-1 lead, and Cleveland wins their first championship, and LeBron finally brings a ring to his home. Then, during the offseason, Golden State goes, well, we need to win the championship because we blew it last time. So we're going to get a new offseason piece. We're going to get Kevin Durant, one of the best players in the league, to join our team, be even more dominant. And although they didn't get as many wins, they still were pretty freaking dominant, I would say. And then Cleveland, still over here, getting better and better every year to finally meet up. The meet up once again. The series is tied 1-1 for the finals. They got to meet it. They got to figure it out. They got to end it right here. If any indication that their series is still going to be fire, that Christmas game that we had this season was absolutely great, and the Warriors blew the lead there. So, who's going to win this series? I got Golden State in 7, and I know I did say Golden State last year and I lost, but I think this is going to be a very competitive series. Again, once again, back and forth, fast-paced, high action, just like my voice is right now, because I had to get on that little bit of a rant. But I think Golden State will say, we are the younger team. We got the flashy pieces. We are the NBA of today. We're going to make the run for it. We're going to go ahead and get that championship and avenge our loss because Kevin Durant's now on our team. And people will still say it's not valuable or viable because, Kevin Durant is here. Oh, my God. But that's the case here. LeBron, Kyrie, still going to be good pieces, but I think Golden State just built themselves too much of a dominant team, and that's how they're going to do it. So, just like the old days when LeBron would get his 3 guys together and make dominant championship runs, it's the same here with Golden State. Golden State in 7. So thank you guys for watching my NBA predictions. If you guys liked it, of course, like the video. Comment below your thoughts on the predictions. If mine were good, what are your predictions? Of course, subscribe to The Bottom Line View. We're almost at 2,500 subscribers, so I appreciate it, guys. It's Dylan for The Bottom Line View.